Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to take a deep dive into Guy de Maupassant's classic short story, The Necklace, and really unpack the incredible transformation of its main character. This one line from the story, it just perfectly sums up the wild, life-altering journey of our protagonist, Mathilde Loisel. And really, it's the big question we're going to explore today. Okay, so let's start at the beginning. To really get what makes this story tick, we have to understand who Mathilde was before this one necklace came along and changed absolutely everything. See, Mathilde is a product of her time. She's pretty, she's charming, and she is just convinced that fate got it wrong. In her mind, she was destined for a life of pure luxury. And this is where all her suffering comes from. You've got her reality on one side and her daydreams on the other. And that huge gap between them, it was just eating her alive. It was a constant source of misery for her.
So, what's really driving her? It boils down to these things: her pride, this deep, gnawing envy of the wealthy, and an imagination that just wouldn't quit. That's the engine of all her unhappiness.
And then it happens. An opportunity lands right in her lap. It seems like a golden ticket, the one thing that could finally turn her dreams into reality. Now, for her husband, this is just a nice night out. No big deal. But for Mathilde, oh no, this is everything. This isn't just a party, it's her chance, her one shot to finally step into the world she feels she belongs in. But of course, she has to look the part, right? She needs that perfect finishing touch, and this is where the necklace comes in. To complete the look, she borrows what she thinks is this incredible diamond necklace from her wealthy friend, Madame Forestier. And for just one night, one perfect night, it all comes true. She's the center of attention. Everyone's admiring her. Her vanity is totally satisfied. She is, for that moment, literally living her dream. But, as you can probably guess, this perfect moment doesn't last. The triumph is tragically brief, and the night ends in, well, an absolute disaster. It's gone. The necklace is just gone. And after this frantic, totally hopeless search, she and her husband make a decision. A fateful decision that will seal their fate for the next 10 years. They're going to replace it, and they're not going to tell her friend a thing. 36,000 francs. Just think about that number. This is the figure that changes everything. They are staring down a life-shattering debt, a fortune that is completely, totally beyond their means. So, to repay this unbelievable debt, Mathilde's life is about to get turned upside down in ways she could have never, ever imagined. This is a total 180. All those daydreams of luxury, gone. They're replaced by 10 years of backbreaking work and poverty. She literally becomes the one thing she always dreaded being: a poor, working-class woman. But here's the thing. It doesn't break her. In fact, it forges a completely new person. All that vanity she had, it's gone, stripped away by years of hard labor. And in its place is this incredible strength, this resilience she never, ever knew she had. All right, so this brings us to the story's famous ending. 10 years have passed. 10 long, hard years. The debt is finally paid off, and one day, a much older, much more weathered Mathilde bumps into Madame Forestier on the street. And she feels this sense of pride. But it's a new kind of pride, right? Not for her looks, but for her hard work, for the fact that she paid off this massive debt. So she decides, you know what? I'm going to tell her the whole story. And there it is, the punchline, the single most devastating, ironic twist you can imagine. The entire sacrifice was for nothing. Just look at those numbers. It's so stark. They paid 36,000 francs for something worth maybe 500. A decade of their lives, their youth, their comfort, all thrown away to replace a fake, a worthless imitation that was, ironically, the perfect symbol for her own false dreams. So this brings us to the central question of the whole story, right? The thing people have been debating for over a century. Was this whole thing a terrible tragedy, or was it, somehow, a blessing in disguise? So let's really think about that final irony. The financial disaster. It was all based on a mistake, a complete illusion. But the journey itself, that decade of hardship, it transformed her. She went from being this bitter dreamer to a strong, resilient realist. Sure, she lost her youth and her beauty,
But maybe, just maybe, she found her true self in the process. So the question for you is, which one was actually worth more?